good, my people, bro? Welcome to episode 5 of the Knowing True Ball podcast with your host, Brian Payne. Yo, man, this week we're going to review over week 3, but we're going to do it a little differently than what we did it last week. Last week I felt like I spent a lot of time trying to distribute how much I talked about each team equally. But this week what we're going to do, we're going to focus on things that I'm just highlighting as importance and really diving into those teams and why I think those things are important. And every week it could be new teams. One week it could be one of the best teams in the league. One week it could be one of the worst teams in the league. It's just whatever I feel like really needs to be expounded on. That's what we're going to be focusing on. And sometimes we may not really touch on the big name teams because some weeks there just isn't a whole lot to talk about with those teams. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. I broke these teams down into about 5 categories. And these 5 categories will be our categories, hopefully, throughout the duration of the season. And, man, I got some creative names for you with these categories. Hopefully you dig in the way I do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And as I talk about these categories, I'm going to break down what they mean. So first of all, man, we're going to start off with the lock 'em in category. The lock 'em in category is representing the teams as of week 3 that I believe that you could already shoe in, lock in as a playoff team and will be competing for the chance to play in the Super Bowl. And one of those teams are the San Francisco 49ers. Man, the San Francisco 49ers, they played last Thursday night. Man, they played against the New York Giants, bro. The New York Giants, without Saquon Barkley, without 2 of their offensive linemen, one of them a key left tackle all-pro, and Andrew Thomas. But it doesn't matter right now, bro. The 49ers are steamrolling through any and everybody. Yeah, they played against a tough game against the Rams a couple weeks ago, but that was more so an interdivision game, and those interdivision games, if you know, tend to get a little funky sometimes. But the San Francisco 49ers, bro, they just showed off the run game again. They didn't even have Brandon Ayuk in that game. But what I really liked from that game was how Brock Purdy was distributing the ball around. You see in Deebo Samuel go for like a $130 receiving, not even talking about his rushing yards. It's nice to see him get going, really get flowing in the rhythm of the passing game, because I feel like down the line that would help them a lot more. Because once you go and have to start spreading the field when you go against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, and teams of that nature, you're going to have to use more people than just Christian McCaffrey. Right now, they've been focusing on mainly the run game and running their whole offense through Christian McCaffrey. But once you can start putting in all those other little pieces, the George Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, the Brandon Ayuks, now your offense becomes very multiple. And what I mean by multiple means that you can attack a defense in so many different ways and makes it very hard for a defense to stop you. And when a defense cannot even figure out what you're doing, that's when it gets tough. Michael Shanahan is one of the 2 masters, in my opinion, in the league today of making an offensive play look like the same play, but it's a completely different option. So, like, for example, he may do like a zone read to the left, and it looks like a straight-up handoff to Christian McCaffrey going on the left side, but yet we're about to boot out to the right and throw this dart down the seam to Deebo Samuel. But also you got George Kittle coming underneath that. So if Deebo's not open deep, you got George Kittle underneath. But the plays look the exact same, and the last time you ran it, you handed it to Christian McCaffrey. So now that defense flowed to the left. So when you boot to the right, all that space is open. And that's when they can start creating those big plays. And that's when guys like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, heck, even Kyle Juszczyk can really get going. And once that gets going, I don't know how we're going to stop this offense. And let alone their defense. Their defense, man, their front line, I think, is the nastiest front line in the NFL. I think they are very balanced in pass rush and run stopping. Very balanced. And then when you got the best linebacker in the game right now in Fred Warner, bro, they could do a lot of things defensively as well. So right now they are one of my lock 'em in teams. I got 2 more for you. So let's go ahead and go to the next NFC team that's lock 'em in. And that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles Yeah, they haven't been too sexy lately, but the best thing about them is that, bro, they're still scoring 25 points a game almost without their passing game going. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts play well yet, but yet they're still doing this. They went against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that is built to stop the run. With those two linebackers in Levante David and Devin White, they are built to go sideline to sideline and stop the run with Vita Vea in the middle clogging up all holes. And yeah, DeAndre Swift still went for a $150 on him. $150. Bro, that's remarkable. Like those dudes are out there talking about Jason Kelsey, Malaga, Lane Johnson, Dickerson. They are all pushing that defensive line back, and they are getting to that second level to the linebackers. That's allowing DeAndre Swift to just burst through the hole, and that's something that I feel like they did not have to the degree that they have this year. But now, when that running game is going, that's when now AJ Brown gets involved. That's when Devontae Smith gets involved, and that's when these guys can start attacking the field. Now, the only hiccup I have with the Eagles' offense right now, it looks like people are catching on a little bit to Jalen Hurts' scrambling ability. He's not scrambling as efficiently as he did last year. When I say that, I mean like when he breaks contain, he's not getting a first down no more. No, he's breaking contain, getting out there, and there are guys right there waiting for it. But the reason why they're right there waiting for him is because they're more concerned with Jalen Hurts, and that's what's opening up the run game. Because now you got the defense thinking. And when the defense thinks, they can't react. So when you're doing a play action handoff, they don't know if it's play action or not. So the linebackers are kind of at a standstill until they know for a fact what is happening. And that's what's allowing the run game to take off. And man, it's amazing. And defensively, their defensive line, I actually think is the best run stopping defensive line in the NFL. Where you got Jordan Davis and then you got Jalen Carter now working the middle. Man, those two big boys are handling their business. Then you add in veterans like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. Like these guys are single-handedly stopping running games, and that's what completely tore apart any game plan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It forced them to have to be a pass-only team, but the issue is that their pass blocking is not good enough, so there was nothing open. And then they also got to double team Mike Evans to take him out for most of the game and make it very inefficient for them to throw the football. And that's what made that game so dominant. But it's so impressive to see how these guys are dominating the line of scrimmage and winning these games handily. There haven't been a game where we've been afraid of them losing. Yeah, they're not winning as big as they did last year. Yeah, they're not looking as explosive as they did last year. But we haven't been concerned about them losing a game. And their offense will continue to get better. Jalen Hurts will get back to what he was last year. Trust me, believe that. He will get back to that level of play. And once he gets back to that level of play, and now you got this kind of running game behind you, man, that's a nice group of guys. So they're my second lock 'em in team from the NFC. Now I only got one more lock 'em in team as a week 3 because I'm grading this on a very tough scale. And my last lock 'em in team is actually in the AFC. And it's needless to say, it's the Miami Dolphins. Bro, the Miami Dolphins went for 70 points. 70 points against the Denver Broncos. That final score was 70-20. Give me 1 second. Let me get to some notes that I wrote down in this game. Man, Miami, they are playing so confident right now. So confident right now. They believe in each other. They believe in their head coach. And they believe in their quarterback. That's what's causing this kind of explosion to happen. That's what we're seeing this year. The complete faith in all the guys that's a part of this organization. And because of that, these guys are just playing freely. They believe in the play call. When they hear a play call, they're hearing a tutty. They're like, hey, bro, we're going to run this zone read to the left. All right, bet, tutty. Hey, man, we're going to run this screen pass to Tyreek. All right, bet, tutty. Like, that's what they're doing. And they are so fulfilled within the playbook that they are just executing to a perfectionist level. And, man, in this game, when you're wondering why all the things took place that took place, let me tell you some things. As I look down, I'm looking at some notes that I wrote because I want to make sure I give you everything that I wrote down. So, man, when you watch their offense compared to last year. Last year, the Miami Dolphins offense was very pass heavy. Very pass heavy. When they looked good, Tua was throwing for 350, 400, 300 yards. And Tyreek was going for a buck 50, or Jalen Waddle was going for a buck 25, and they're getting 2 touchdowns apiece. The one thing that we did not see last year consistently was a run game. Was a run game. But this year we are seeing a run game. And people are like, hey, wasn't Denver Broncos defense supposed to be a good defense? They were supposed to, and are they playing up to stuff? No, they're not. Let me be clear, they are not playing up to snuff. But they still are a talented defense. And if you watch that game, them boys played hard. They played hard. The issue was they had no idea what was coming at them. No idea. Because, man, when you give up a pass play to a guy like Tyreek Hill and it's going for a 50-yard tutty, you back up. But now when you back up, you can't stop the run as efficiently. You're hoping that maybe your front six, talking about your front 4 down linemen and maybe 2 linebackers, you're hoping those 6 guys can stop Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. That's what you're hoping happens. But that did not happen. So now when you come to the line of scrimmage, you are like, hey, let's stop the run on this play. Surely they're about to run. But then when they hit you with a play action, they pass it over your dome, it's wide open for a tutty. So now you're like, hey, bro, we're going to back up this time. But now when you back up, we're handing it off. Remember I told you about Kyle Shanahan, how I thought he was one of the 2 best coaches in the league at disguising plays and running the different things out of the same exact play. The second guy is Mike McDaniels. Go back and watch that game. You will see them run like the same play 3 times, but it's 3 different outcomes. You cannot, it's hard to prepare for that. It's hard to stop that because your body instincts and your mind just takes over. So when you see this handoff coming, you know that Devon Achane is averaging 9.8 yards a carry. 9.8 a carry. You know that's happening. You're like, hey, bro, we got to swing to that left. Hey, bro, we got to swing to that right. But when Tua tucks that thing back in there, I'm sorry, he's left-handed. Let that thing fly, bro. It's hard to stop. It's hard to stop, and you can't go man-to-man against them. That's the scariest part. You have to run a zone. Well, when you run zone, you don't attack forward. You attack back. You're immediately taking a step back instead of going forward. Because if you go forward and you go, we're getting into knowing true ball here. You go forward and you attack, you are leaving your zone. So if you get too far up, now this guy running this crossing route could come right behind you. And that's an immediate first down. So that's why when they go in zones, that's what's opening up this entire run game. And once that run game gets open, now you got to choose them. Are we going to go man? Are we going to blitz? Are we going to stack the box? But if you do any of that, like I said, Tyreek Hill, the Cheetah, or Jalen Waddle, them boys are getting a touchdown over your head. These boys scored 70 points without Jalen Waddle. Their second best offensive player, they scored 70 points. But that makes no sense. Now, let me tell you this, though, about the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson played well. He played a good game. It is not his fault that his defense led up 70 points. That's not his fault. There's no way you can expect another offense to be that efficient. So with that being said, man, they scored 20 points, and it was a solid 20. The thing is, in any other normal game, that would have been enough to give you a chance to win. But when you're going against an offense that was that hot, man, it broke the game. But the part where it really took shape was at halftime. Right before halftime, the Denver Broncos, they were losing, but they was still in range. Like, they was in range. But, man, when they threw that ball, caught it, it was supposed to be for a first down. And I do not remember the exact player, but one guy from Miami knocked it out of the Denver Broncos' hand, and number 43 picked it up, the linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. That's when the entire game flipped. The entire game flipped after that. And then when Denver made it all the way down to the goal line before halftime and didn't get a touchdown out of it, man, that's very deflating. And then they got the ball back. Talking about Denver, they kick it all. I mean, they go 3 and out, and then next thing you know, Miami, another touchdown. Bro, that defense was spent. They were spent. The offense was spent. Your confidence is gone. You don't have the energy. You don't have the courage to go back out there and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's what happened in that game. Man, the Miami Dolphins sucked the life out of the Denver Broncos. Sucked it completely out of the Denver Broncos. And that's what happened in that game. So that's the end of our category of the lock 'em in. Those three teams are locked in right now, in my opinion, as of week 3. But now we're going to move on to the next category, which is Show Me Mo. Show Me Mo. Now, the purpose of this category is these are teams that I think are going to be making the playoffs, but we can't lock them in yet. I'm seeing a lot of flaws out of I'm seeing flaws out of this team that I'd like to see tinkered and fixed before we lock them in. And one of those teams are the Buffalo Bills. Man, the Buffalo Bills, they have been playing good football the last couple weeks. Week 1, now granted it's week 1, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. The issue with their week 1 is that we saw Josh Allen make some mistakes that he's prone of making in big moments. Whenever he feels that pressure, that urgency, he tends to throw interceptions. I like to say, as a comparison for Josh Allen, it's not an NFL player. His comparison to me is Russell Westbrook of the NBA. And this is what I mean. These two men have great talents. Great talents. Hall of Famers, probably. Russell Westbrook is. Josh Allen's on his way. Hall of Famers. But the thing that makes them special is they have so much self-confidence within them. So much self-confidence. They believe they could do anything on the field / on the court. And that supersedes into selfishness because there's nobody that they trust more than themselves. The issue is they're not actually selfish. They're not selfish players. They just have that amount of security and confidence within themselves. They're like, I can win this game. I got this. And that's why sometimes they'll start pulling at the game. Instead of letting the game just come to them and flowing naturally through the game, they will start pulling at the game. For example, Josh Allen, instead of throwing a check down, he's going to try to run for the first down on 2nd and 7, try to jump over somebody, get hit, fumble, boom. That's the other team got it, and now it's a turnover. Or Josh Allen will scramble, do all the Josh Allen stuff, running back and forth, and then with that cannon, just let that thing fly. And then next thing you know, he threw into the double coverage and now it gets picked off. Those are things that Josh Allen would do. Those are the same things that a guy like Russell Westbrook does in the NBA. When he starts pulling at it, he will chuck up a 3 because he's just in the zone. He's like, we need 3. I'm going to get these 3. Or he's going to drive the lane too aggressively, drop the ball, turn the ball over. Those are things that they do, but it's not with ill intent. It's just part of their nature. It's just who they are. So until he could learn how to box that in, talking about Josh Allen, it will always be a wait and see in those moments. Those moments that he plays against Patrick Mahomes, those moments that he plays against Joe Burrow, those moments that he plays against Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa. When he plays against these guys, we will see his confidence rise. Notice how he plays. Because, for example, in this Commanders game, the defense won this game. The defense was straight up elite. They forced Sam Howell to throw four interceptions. These boys only let up 3 points the entire game. The defense was elite, and the defense did their job. And the thing was, Josh Allen in the offense actually wasn't as efficient as I would have liked them to be. They kicked a lot of field goals at the red zone. They were a little loosey on offense. I'm not going to say that they weren't in sync. I'm not going to say that. They were just loose. They were just like, oh, we're blowing them out. And you could tell their sense of urgency wasn't there. So with that being the case, that's why I need to see more. We've seen them play against 2 teams that they're supposed to dominate, and they dominated both teams. I actually was very impressed with this game because the Commanders have a very good defensive line, and I'm happy that I saw the Bills' offensive line hold up. They held up okay against this defensive line. And if they can hold up against this defensive line, they can hold up against most defensive lines in the NFL. So we just need to continue seeing more. We need to continue seeing them play against good defenses and continue seeing how their defense, talking about the Bills' defense, plays against good offenses. We just need to see them play against good opponents. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Because right now they're getting back on track. In the Bills, they should be on their way. Another team that's going to be in the category is the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, man, they reverted back to their offensive last year. A lot of guys got hurt, and because a lot of guys got hurt, like Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, obviously J.K. Dobbins. Now you can make the case that these guys get hurt every year, and you're right. So they should have had secondary plans, which obviously Zay Flowers is there. And yes, I know there was an actual PI that should have been called, a pass interference that should have been called in overtime. That would have probably won the Ravens a game. But I don't get into that. I'm not one of those kind of guys that jumps on the referees about all that kind of stuff. Guess what? The game's over. It's over. You lost. And guess what? The Baltimore Ravens should have never been in that situation in the first place. Should have never been in that situation. So what I need to see from the Ravens is just a more efficient offense. We need to see this offense progress. They have not progressed. They are just kind of stagnant, staying the same that they've always been. We're seeing more of that pistol offense again, things like that. No, I want to see him in the spread. I want to see him in those kind of situations where he is able to throw the ball and sling that thing and do what I believe Lamar Jackson could do and use his legs as a true dual threat quarterback, just like he did against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, this week he kind of had to be Superman and try to take that over. But the thing is, we don't want him to be Superman no more. We've seen that. We've seen that. And it hasn't got the job done. So we need that offense to start progressing so then this offense can flourish so then they get to the point that they could get to. And also defensively, I was very disappointed in the defensive line. Their defensive line did not hold up as well as I wish they would have held up against the Indianapolis Colts. No disrespect to the Indianapolis Colts at all. It's just that the Baltimore Ravens did not play as well as they should have been playing. So we need to see more from them. We need to see them redeem themselves now before we could throw them in the lock them in category. Another team that we need to see more from is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions. They beat the Chiefs week 1, but they beat them by 1 point with no Chris Jones, no Travis Kelce, and no prize free agent. Aminu, I think his name is. No, it's not Aminu, but it's something along those lines. The defensive end for the Chiefs, who still hasn't played yet, by the way. And the Chiefs' defense is great. But anyways, we'll get to them. But the Detroit Lions, so they got that 1 point victory against the Chiefs that really came based off a lot of Kansas City mistakes, drop passes for the most part, and allowed a pick six to happen. Without that pick six, your offense only scored 14 points in that game. I mean, that's not great. That's not efficient. That's not what we were expecting from the Detroit Lions. Then you go against Seattle and you lose to Seattle at home, a team I think that the Detroit Lions should have been able to beat. But I will give Detroit this, man. Atlanta's been playing good football. And for them to dominate that game the way they dominated it, see, Detroit isn't built on scoring a lot of points. They are built just being grimy and gritty, trying to win the game. If they score a lot of points, they score a lot of points in the process. That's their attitude. But they really just care about winning the game. And when you watch that game, there was never a point in that game where you felt like Atlanta had any sense of control. Never had any sense of control. And what was really nice of Detroit was that you saw them stay within themselves and stay within their offense. When you stay within yourself and stay within your offense, good things will happen. It's nice to see Aiden Hutchinson continue taking steps. He's becoming an elite defensive end in the NFL. And the better he gets, that's when the Lions can start getting real scary. Because now that pass rush can start forcing more turnovers, whether it's forced fumbles, whether it's sacking the quarterback to force more punts, and even just rushing the quarterback to make him have to make a split-second decision and throw a terrible pass that gets intercepted. That is really a defensive line interception. It just so happened that somebody else has to catch it. So, I mean, it's great to see what they're doing, but we need to see more from them. We need to see them go against the Green Bay Packers defense. We need to see them also play against the rest of their schedule. They have a pretty tough schedule. So we'll see how it all plays out for them. But as of so far, hey, they just got to show me more, but they're looking all right. Next team I want to go over in this category is the Kansas City Chiefs, actually. Kansas City Chiefs, man, they beat up on the Chicago Bears like how they're supposed to. Kind of like what we said about a few teams last week playing against teams that they're supposed to dominate. The Chiefs dominated that game. It was nice to see the wide receivers get in sync. That's the good thing that you need to watch from this. This is one of those games where you just need to watch the flow of the game. Watch the rhythm of the game. Don't pay attention to the blowout. Don't think about the blowout. Don't think about any of that. Think about the repetitions that's happening. Think about how comfortable the guys are getting. And what you saw in this game was honestly Sky Moore becoming comfortable in his role. That's the biggest one I would say. Sky Moore becoming comfortable in that role, and you're seeing the Chiefs learning where to place these different receivers so then they continue making plays. And then also, man, you got to see the running game take shape. So that was nice as well. Confidence. They built confidence in this game. The defense, they did what they've been doing. We'll talk about the Bears later on in the show. But it's nice to see what KC is doing. They're just still in the show me process. We got to see them play against some more elite teams. We beat the Jaguars, but we're seeing what the Jaguars really are right now. So that's nothing to write home about. We lost to Detroit. We beat a bad Bears team. We play against a bad Jets team this upcoming week. So, I mean, we'll wait until we start getting to the Chargers and those kind of teams when we start playing them to really start judging the Kansas City Chiefs. And another team that we're going to talk about in this segment, in this category, also is the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are in a tough spot, man. They're in a tough spot. I have to see more because Derek Carr's hurt. He's hurt. And when he got hurt, I think that's going to really slow up their offense a little bit. Granted, they got Alvin Kamara coming back, so that's a big deal for them for this upcoming week. But, man, when you give up a 17-point lead to the Green Bay Packers with no Christian Watson, no David Bakhtiari, barely got Romeo Doubs, no Jair Alexander, like, man, there was a lot of guys out, and you managed to blow a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. Granted, that's more on the defense than the offense, but somehow the offense, you couldn't get first downs once Derek Carr went out the game. That's not good. That's not good at all. So we need to see more from them because that's the division that they should easily win in the NFC South. They are by far the most talented team in that division. But if they play like that, it ain't going to happen. Another team that we want to see more from is the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks, man, they're looking all right, man, after that weird game against the Rams week 1. Like, they've been all right, man. They beat the Detroit Lions, and then they came back and won their game this week. Like, man, they played good. They played good. You see Kenneth Walker really getting his footing back, and you become an elite running back once again. And then also you see Geno Smith kind of just pick up where he left off. Just pick up where he left off and just keep playing ball, keep doing his thing. So, man, it's pretty dope to see. Only thing I'll really say is, like, man, hopefully that defense can keep progressing. But I just got to see some more from them. Just got to see some more. I got to see them start becoming dominant. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm waiting to see. Just become dominant. So that's the end of our Show Me Mo segment. Those are teams that I think are on their way to the playoffs as of week 3. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more team. My bad. I greatly apologize. Got ahead of myself. I can't leave this team out. The Dallas Cowboys, y'all got to show me mo. That was a pathetic performance that they put up against the Arizona Cardinals. Let me make sure that we're on our notes correctly because this is a game we definitely have to talk about. So a lot of people are going to wonder what happened in this game. What happened that caused the Dallas Cowboys to go through this? Man, listen, I ain't on no Stephen A. Smith energy, nothing like that, man. That ain't what I do. I don't really care about the Cowboys. But I just love football. That's all. But, man, what happened in this game, man, when you watch this game, Dallas just came out lackluster. Just a lackluster start, man. They just kind of was cooling. Just kind of going through the motions until Josh Dobbs burnt them with that 43-yard run. Once that happened, now all of a sudden you try to get real. Let me tell you something about ball. Something about ball. Even just the level that I played, let alone this level. Bro, you cannot turn that switch on. You can't turn it on. If you don't walk out there with that energy, you don't gain that energy back. Like, you don't get that juice built up. Instead, sometimes you may start getting nervous. You may start worrying. You may start blaming. And all those kind of things take away from your team, not pour into your team. And I think that had a big thing to do with it. But I will say eventually they did start playing hard in that game. But the thing is, once they start playing hard, I think a lot of people do not realize how much Trayvon Diggs meant to that defense. This is why I bring him up, because a lot of people are going to say, oh, AB, it was a running game that killed the Dallas Cowboys. You're absolutely right. It was the running game. But let's talk about the running game here. Remember when we talked about zone coverage earlier? When I told you, like, you kind of got to hesitate, step back before you can attack forward? When you got Trayvon Diggs on one side and you got Stephon Gilmore on the other, you get to run man. You get to run man coverage. You could put 8 in the box because you don't have to have nobody back. You don't have to have nobody back. You got 2 lockdown corners on each side. But now what happened was that you had to run zone. You could not put 8 in the box. You had to help that corner against Hollywood Brown. And now it shifts the whole defense. Because see, what made their run defense good, like against the New York Giants, for example, and even the Jets, for example, is that when you're able to put that many guys in the box, it's just too many guys for the offense to block. It's not plain and simple. But now you couldn't put that many guys in the box. So now when your defensive line is weighing in 255 Micah Parsons, like 260 Dexter Lawrence, and maybe a couple 290 guys going against a 5'3", 350-pound lineman, those guys are pushing them boys around. Dallas is built to maintain a lead. Once they get a lead, Micah Parsons and them boys get to pin their ears back and just come straight for the quarterback. They don't have to worry about the running game. But this game, they had to worry about the running game, and when the team starts controlling them, there's nothing they could do about it. They're just not big enough. They're built as a finesse defense. They're not built as a powerful defense. And that's what happened in this game. And that's about to be an Achilles heel for them against the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's going to be some interesting things to see. See how their defense adjusts. See what they end up running, because there's no way that they're going to be able to stop running games with their front six. They have to get at least 7 down there. And I don't know where they're going to get that 7th guy, because you cannot leave the opposite corner of Stephon Gilmore by himself. You can't do it. And honestly, you can't leave Stephon Gilmore by himself no more either. You can't. I hate to say it like that, but you can't. So Trayvon Diggs being out actually made a big effect against the running game, just like how it did against the passing game. Another thing that they did was, talking about the Arizona Cardinals, they ran at Micah Parsons. You run at that athlete. You run at him. Because when you run at him, he has to make a decision. First of all, you're either double teaming him and you're pushing him out the play. So now you don't have to worry about this alien of an athlete chasing you, because he's getting double teamed. He's gone. He's out of the play. But also, like when you run at him like Josh Dobbs did the first play when was like the second play of the game when he did the 43-yard scamper, Micah Parsons had to make a decision to go after Josh Dobbs or go after James Conner. He chose to go after James Conner. You're forcing him to make decisions. You're forcing him to think, which forces him to slow down. And it has nothing to do with Micah Parsons. That's just the name of the game. That's the nature of the beast. It's just that plain and simple. He's being forced to try to make the right decision, and the quarterback's being forced to read him. And that's all that it is. So, like, when you put him in those situations, you can neutralize Micah Parsons a little bit. Just a little bit. He's still great. He's going to get there. But the thing is, when you can slow him up just a tad, that could be just enough for you to get loose. Now, another issue that I did not like with the Dallas Cowboys is that they passed the ball way too much. Way too much. It wasn't a blowout. I do not understand why they were throwing the ball to the significant amount that they did. Their biggest weakness so far this season has been their red zone offense. They're just kicking field goals and not getting tutties. And remember what we said in the NFC preview episode I believe 2. They were going to miss Ezekiel Elliott, and they're missing him now, because the pass blocking from Tony Pollard has not been good. The pass progression from the pass protection from the running backs have not been good at all. And now also the other issue is Zeke was your thumper. That's not Tony Pollard. Zeke gets the 3rd and 1. He gets the 4th and 2. He gets the 2nd and goal on the 2-yard line. Zeke gets those yards. Tony does not get those yards. They're missing Ezekiel Elliott. That's messing up their red zone offense tremendously. And now you're putting a lot of pressure on Dak to finish those drives. But we don't want that much pressure on Dak. It's not that Dak's a bad quarterback. I'm not one of them guys that try to say he's a bad quarterback. He's not bad. He's just not one of those guys. He's not one of those Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allens, Lamar Jacksons, Joe Burrows, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, so on and so forth. He's not one of those guys. He's one of the Kirk Cousins type guys. That's what he is. And that's okay. You could win with Dak. But he cannot throw the ball to the degree that he threw it. And the interception that he threw at the end of the game, that was pathetic. It was pathetic. He choked. He choked. He made a terrible read, but he could grow from that, hopefully. He should be able to grow from that. And now Mike McCarthy knows we should not throw the ball as much as we did. You didn't have to. You was not chasing points to that degree that you were throwing the ball to the level that you were throwing the football. The final thing I want to touch on with the Dallas Cowboys in this game was they got back to racking up penalties. They got back to being a very undisciplined team. And what that told me was, honestly, I think they're a fair weather team. The first 2 weeks, you didn't have really any turnovers when everything was going good and everything was going right. All of a sudden, when things get real, you are gaining penalties. That's not good. That's not a good sign because it's going to be real against the 49ers. It's going to be real against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be real against several other teams as well. Hey, Cowboys, you got to play with your mind. You guys are relying on your talent, but you got to also use your mind in these games. But that's the end of our Show Me Mo category. Those teams are teams that I believe will get their things together, make it to the playoffs, have a chance to make a run at the Super Bowl. Next category that we're going to get to and teams that we're going to talk about, we're going to call this category, I see you. I see you. I see you. Now what that means is I see these teams coming. They're going to be on the cusp of really making noise. But I see them coming. And we should keep our eyes on them. Because they can either go this way or they could go this way. They're either going to go up or down. One of the two. But we need to keep our eye on this team. We need to see them. And the first team we're going to talk about in the I see you category is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons. Real quick, let me get to my notes real quick on this game. The Atlanta Falcons are a team, man, they want to bludgeon you. They want to run. They want to wear you down. They got a big back in Tyler Algier. They have an explosive back in Bijan Robinson. They have a big wide receiver in Drake London. And they have an athletic tight end in Kyle Pitts that they just refuse to use. But, hey, they did throw the ball 9 times this game, I guess. But they just act like he doesn't actually exist. But their defensive line wants to beat you up. They want to beat you down. That's what this team is built on. They're built on physicality. They're built a lot like the Detroit Lions, actually. A lot like them. And we need to keep our eye on them. Mainly because, see, you're going to see this. We're going to have a lot of teams for the NFC South in these kind of conversations. Because that division is truly up in the air. And when that division is up in the air, that means anybody can win. We got 3 teams in that division that's 2-1. New Orleans Saints 2-1, Atlanta 2-1, and Tampa Bay 2-1. I can see any of those teams winning this division right now. That's how wide open this division is. And the only issue that happened in this game to me was that this is a young Atlanta Falcons team. And what you saw in this game, you saw them lose themselves. They lost themselves. And that includes Arthur Smith. They lost themselves. They started trying to pass the ball just a lot in the first quarter. You're only down 1 score. Why are we forcing throwing the football? I did not understand that. I did not understand it. There was never a point in this game where I felt like they could not run the football. Keep running. Keep running. You have a running back in Bijan Robinson. He could break off a 60-yard touchdown run. You just got to keep giving it to him. And what really didn't make sense to me was the biggest weakness with your passing game was your pass protection. Your pass protection was awful. Awful. So why are we going to keep throwing the football? Why is Desmond Ridder throwing the ball 38 times? He is not ready to throw the ball 38 times. Your offensive line is not ready to throw the ball 38 times. And let's be real, you don't know who the hell to throw the ball to 38 times. How do you throw the ball 38 times and Kyle Pitts and Drake London combine for maybe 14 targets? Your 2 best players, and Bijan, throw him in there. They don't even touch 20 out of 38 pass attempts. Not even 20 of these attempts went between those 3 guys. Your 3 best players. That makes no sense. You don't know where to go with the ball. Why the hell are you throwing it? Why are we throwing it? So that's my biggest issue with what they had going on. That's things that I believe that can be fixed. They just got to roll like the Tennessee Titans used to roll. Know your game. Play your game. If you lose that day, you lose that day. But stick to your game script. The next team I want to recognize and let them know I see you is the Cleveland Browns, man. I see the Cleveland Browns defense. The Cleveland Browns defense has been legit. Them dudes has been excellent. They have been elite. They have been playing a lot better than what I thought they would. They are playing relentless and fast. Relentless and fast. And Myles Garrett right now, mainly because of Micah Parsons wearing that star on his helmet, people are not realizing what kind of year Myles Garrett's having. This man might be the defensive player of the year so far. He is elite, bro. He is elite. This dude is going crazy out there. Going crazy. Bro, the Tennessee Titans was adjusting to him the same way you adjust to a wide receiver in motion. I have never seen that. To the point that it caused a delayed game. Like, that is wild, bro. That's wild. But the reason why they fall into the CU category is because I don't trust that offense. I don't trust it. We know Nick Chubb's out for the year. And yeah, the Ford looks good. He does look good. And Kareem Hunt, he came back. We'll see what kind of juice he gives to the team as well. They played against maybe the best run-stopping defense in the NFL in the Tennessee Titans, so you don't judge them too harshly on what that run game looked like last week. My issue is Deshaun Watson. This is my issue, man. There's a lot of bonehead plays he's making, and his timing just seems really off. Really off. Mainly when he's actually in the scheme of the play, of the passing game. When you see him in the pocket and he's bouncing, doing his thing, and he lets that thing fly, he's overthrowing, underthrowing. The only time that he looks remotely comfortable is when he's scrambling. That's the only time, but you don't want to depend on that every game. That's not something that you want to depend on. So we will see where they get. We have to judge them as Deshaun Watson goes. The better Deshaun Watson gets, the better that team will be. Don't pay attention to his numbers last week. His numbers looked good last week. You would have thought he was like Deshaun Watson level last week, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He played against a bad passing defense, and he had a lot of opportunities because the Cleveland Browns defense played an excellent game. An excellent game. And because of that, it gave Deshaun Watson a lot of time, a lot of opportunities to correct a lot of the wrong that he was doing. But Deshaun Watson, the talent is still there. He just has to get the time and the accuracy back. The next team we're going to go over in this category is the Green Bay Packers. I see you. I see you. I see you, Jordan Love. Hey, bro, you playing solid football, in my opinion. I recognize the guys that you are missing. It's not an excuse for anything. But I do think that you can be more explosive once Christian Watson gets back and Aaron Jones. So, with that being the case, they haven't beat nobody that's just like of the level of importance to me. They beat the New Orleans Saints. That's a good football team they beat. Let me be clear, good football team. But just like we said in the NFC preview episode, I believe they're going to go about 10-7, which I think is solid. Like, it's not an elite record. It's not a bad record. It's just a little bit above middle of the pack. I think that's what they're looking like. They're looking like they'll be a playoff team, in my opinion. Just keep our eyes on them. Let's continue watching Jordan Love grow in this game. Let's still keep an eye on the Rams. Okay? Keep an eye on the Rams. The Rams are in these games, and what you have to remember is that Cooper Kupp is not back. He's not back. He's not there. When Cooper Kupp comes back, that offense is going to have a completely different look. And when that offense gets that look, that could be the difference when they get to these goal lines between kicking field goals and scoring touchdowns. If they start scoring touchdowns, if they score touchdowns against Cincinnati Bengals last week, the Bengals don't win that game. The Rams do. So that's why we need to keep an eye on them. They need to just try to go 2-2. If they could finish 2-2 during this time of Cooper Kupp's out, as long as Cooper Kupp comes back week 5, hey, man, keep our eye on the Rams. In a weak NFC conference, they can slip in and make a wild card. So let's keep an eye on them. Another team I want to keep our eye on is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Specifically, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That's going to be – they're just shaky. They're shaky because the defense is great, but the offense is just so shaky. Like, it's just pathetic, honestly. It's bad. And what makes it bad is the play call. The play calls make it bad. They have no trust in Kenny Pickett. There's a part of me that's kind of like, why are you sticking with him? Why aren't you trying to let him grow? Let him grow. You played against the Las Vegas Raiders, bro. Their pass defense is awful. The only guy you have to defend is Max Crosby. That's it. Who is elite, by the way. He is a dog. But that's the only guy you got to defend. Other than that, George Pickens could be going crazy. As Calvin Austin did. He got loose and he got one. Like, Pat Firemouth could be doing his thing. Najee Harris, he started coming to life last week. That was nice to see. I mean, the offense did look better last week, but I'm not seeing a. I didn't see enough to make me feel like, okay, when you play against the Ravens, you're going to hang in there. That offense will. I don't know. I don't think they will hang in there. When they play against the Browns, I don't think you will hang in there. When they play against the Bengals, I don't think you will hang in there. So that's why we need to wait and see. Just keep our eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers, because one thing that Coach Tomlin can do, he will progress these players. And if these players continue to progress, maybe they may get to a point where we could really start believing in them, because that defense is there. They're doing what they're doing without Cam Haywood, one of the best D tackles in the game. They could get there. Another team that we're going to talk about in this category is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, bro. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Keep your eye on them. Hey, look, they played against one of the best teams in the NFL, in the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're not on that level. That's not their level. That's not what they do. But they can compete with the Green Bay Packers. They can compete with the Detroit Lions. They can compete with the Seattle Seahawks. They can compete with those type of teams, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons. They can compete in those games. Their issue is just for running game. Their offensive line does not get any push. So that's their issue. If they could find a way to just develop some type of consistent running game, even if it is just a solid 80 yards rushing a game for the running backs, that will be an immense upgrade for them. They just got to get to that point. If they get to that point, that's when that offense could take a real step, because that means that you are gaining first downs on a regular basis instead of just going for big chunk plays. But let's keep an eye on them. I don't really necessarily think they'll make the playoffs, but we got to keep our eye on them. They are earning our respect. The last team that's really earning our respect right now in this kind of category are the Indianapolis Colts. Hey, bro, we got to show them some love. We got to show them some love. Man, they won week 2 and week 3 with a backup quarterback. Week 3, they played against the Baltimore Ravens with a backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew. And the beauty of it was they stuck to their game. They stuck to their game. They didn't change for nobody. They didn't do what the Atlanta Falcons did and just start trying to throw the ball all over the place. They never panicked. They just played their game. Slow and steady wins the race. That's what they did. That's how they play. And it was nice to see. The defensive line played very well. The linebackers played well. The defensive backs played okay. I'm only saying okay because they didn't really get tested, because the Baltimore offense was doing whatever they were doing. They just tried to make it the Lamar show instead of trying to really throw the football. But offensively, man, I was impressed. Really, I'm impressed with Zach Moss. And the reason why I got them in this ICU category is because what happens if Taylor comes back? What happens if he comes back? What happens when you put him and Anthony Richardson in the backfield together? That could be something nice. So we just got to keep our eye on them, because that offensive line is looking solid again. Quentin Nelson is actually healthy now. That offensive line is looking good. The next group of teams I want to talk about is the don't trust them. Don't trust them category. And the reason why we're naming it that is because these are teams that have like a certain expectation or a certain expectation in our minds that they are not going to achieve. It's not necessarily I'm saying like they're going to be the bottom feeders. I'm not necessarily trying to say that. I'm saying they are not going to do what we anticipated them to do. So, like, for example, starting off, we're going to start off with the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. And honestly, it has nothing to do really with the Bengals. It just has everything to do with Joe Burrow's health. Man, they cannot win games with Joe Burrow playing that way. They have to throw the ball down the field, and Joe can't. Joe can't. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, when Joe gets healthy, da-da-da-da-da. He's not getting healthy. You don't get healthier by playing. You don't. Like, 1 + 1 = 2. It don't equal 3. He's not going to get healthy while he plays. The only thing that can happen is that this thing stays stagnant or it gets worse. Those are the only two options. It will not get better. And if he cannot throw a 20, 25, 30-yard ball on a regular basis right now, that's not good, especially for your type of team. Especially for your type of team. And then he can't scramble either. What happens when he plays against the Browns again? And Myles Garrett's coming at his back again. What happens when he goes against Pittsburgh and TJ Watt's coming? What happens in those games? What happens when he goes against the Ravens and Jadeveon Clowney is on one side and he's coming? And Kyle Hamilton, who's like just a weapon X on defense, is coming. He can't get out of there. And your offensive line ain't good. Like, none of it makes sense to me. I personally would have benched Joe Burrow and just let him heal up. You just paid him $275 million. I'd rather make sure that he's healthy for the rest of his career than try to maybe damage him this season. That's just my personal opinion. Another team that we should not trust is Jacksonville Jaguars. That offense is pitiful. It's pitiful. And it's so sad because I really thought they were going to take a step and be one of the elite offenses in the NFL based on how they finished last season. They're out of sync. The timing's not right. The time is not good. They don't know their pecking order. When I say that, I mean like this. Like, every team knows who their number one wide receiver is, their number two, their number three, so on and so forth. The Chiefs, we know it's Travis Kelce. Then we know that it's looking like it's becoming Sky Moore. Then it's becoming Kadarius Toney. The Bills, Stephon Diggs. Then Gabe Davis. Then Dawson Knox. I mean, so on and so forth. The Cincinnati Bengals, with guys that are elite offensive weapons, it goes Chase, then Higgins, then Tyler Boyd, then Mixon. We know that. The 49ers, McCaffrey, Debo, George, Ayuk, Philly, AJ, Devontae, then Swift, Miami, Tyreek, Waddle. You get my point now. That's my point. We know the pecking order. They don't know their pecking order. They don't know what their pecking order is. So now what's happening is you have no rhythm. And you're just like, oh, shoot, he haven't got the ball a few times. Let's get him the ball. Oh, this guy needs the ball. Get him the ball. Oh, we didn't run the ball. Get him the ball. Like, you're not calling plays with a rhythm. Your guys don't know their roles. And because of that, your offense is out of sync. Your timing's out of sync. Nothing's flowing. And that's the problem. That's the problem with their offense. And that causes mistakes. That causes lack of confidence. And now when they're playing like that, your defense is on the field a lot because they're going 3 and out. And when your defense is out there a lot, no true ball moment, you get tired, man. You get tired, bro. Defense is tiring. And now, the more you're out there, the more tired you are, and next thing you know, you let up points. That's what happened against the Houston Texans. That's what happened. The offense was terrible, and the Houston Texans were able to wear them down. A team that had no business doing that to them was able to wear them down. And the more the weeks go on, the less confidence the Jaguars are having every week. Another team that we're not going to trust is the Los Angeles Chargers. Don't trust them. They should have lost that game. And you know why? Because what we talked about in episode 3, the AFC preview, Brandon Staley, the head coach, the man went for it on 4th and 2 at his own 24-yard line with the game on the line? That was dumb as hell. Stupid. I have no idea why he did that. It made no sense at all. And you cannot make it make sense. I'm a guy that I'm cool with going for it on 4th down. He went on 4th down, 4th and goal, like very near the beginning of the game. I'm cool with that. There are some guys that say take the 3 points. No, get that tutty. You worked your butt all the way down there. You got down to the 3-yard line. Get those points. Get off to a lead. Get off to a good start. Hey, you miss it, guess what? The opposing offense has to go 97 yards down the field. You did not get this first down, which means that you put your defense in a terrible spot. And let me tell you something here. Knowing true ball moment once again. He puts his defense in a bad spot all the time. Their defense is not as bad as it looks. One, just like I've said several times, these guys don't fit. That's one issue. Issue number 2 is their head coach is dumb. And I hate to say it like that, but that's just the truth. He makes bonehead decisions. And when you're putting these guys on the field and they have to defend 24 yards, they're supposed to give up a touchdown. That's not Khalil Mack. That's not Joe Bosa. That's not Darwin James. That's not them. That's your coach. That puts you in a terrible spot. A terrible spot. And he does that all the time, and that's why we could never trust them. The man blew a 27-point lead in the playoffs. That's all I got to say. Move on to the next one. The Minnesota Vikings. Can't trust them either. Can't trust them either. And simply for them, this one's going to be short, quick, and to the point. Their defense sucks. The defense is not that good. And because their defense is not that good, they cannot maintain leads. They have a couple solid guys. Like, I like Byron Murphy. Donnell Hunter, I like him a lot. Obviously, he's an all-pro. But, I mean, everybody else on that defense is nothing to write home about. They can't stop nobody. Now, remember a long time ago, well, not a long time ago, but last episode, last episode, I talked about Kirk Cousins and like his 300-plus yards, how it really was meaningless. In this game, his yards meant something. And in this game, Herbert's yards meant something. It just shows how incompetent both teams' defenses are and coaching staffs are. That's what that shows. And that's why we can't trust them. Because that's not a balanced offensive attack at all. Don't trust them teams. Don't trust them. Next group we're going to get to. This is not necessarily that you thought that they're going to make the playoffs. It's more so that you gave this team respect. Do not trust the New England Patriots. They are not good enough. They're not good enough. They have an elite defense. They do. But that offense, they're just not talented enough. They're just not plain and simple. And they have a tough schedule. They'll be lucky to finish 8-9. They'll be lucky to finish 8-9. It's simply because of what their schedule is and their talent level. That's all that it is. You play Buffalo twice. You play Miami twice. You 0-4 right there. Period. You're 0-4 already. Let alone all the other tough teams that you got. So don't trust them because they don't have enough offense. Another team that's falling in that same boat is also the Tennessee Titans. We can't trust them. We can't trust them, though, honestly, because they don't know who they are. They're trying to implant this new offense that is not functional for them. It's not functional for them. They need to just focus on running the football and going back to what they did. Go back to what you did. Push the guys off the block and do what you're supposed to be doing. But instead, they're trying to get cute. They're trying to use D-Hop. They're trying to do all this kind of stuff. And now it's making your offense real ugly. Get back to just the inside zone, outside zone. Derrick Henry the ball. Let him do his thing. That's all you got to do. Control the clock, win the game. But we can't trust them right now because their talent level just not look good enough. Does not look good enough at all. Another team that we're not going to trust is the Washington Commanders. We're bringing them up because they're 2-0. But their 2-0 is against two of the worst teams in the NFL. They beat the Arizona Cardinals, and then they beat the Denver Broncos, who just got 70 hung on them. The Denver Broncos has given up 105 points in the last 2 games. Come on, man. They finally play against a real team, and they lose 38-3 or 37-3, whatever it was. That's who they really are. So when they go against the Dallas Cowboys, when they go against the Philadelphia Eagles, when they go against, I think they got San Fran on their schedule, I'm not sure. But when they go against like these other teams that are on that level, they're going to get ran out the building. So we can't trust them. It is what it is. We can't trust them. Another team that we can't trust is the New York Giants. We already went through them. Bro, they just don't have enough talent. That's all it is. They were a year too early. They don't have enough talent to make it. And they chose to pay their quarterback when they shouldn't have paid him. They should have gave him a franchise tag and just let him play it out. I'm not even saying that you sign Saquon to a long-term deal. I don't know what you do. Because I personally would just try to rebuild the team. I would try to rebuild the team and move forward. I would try to trade Saquon, get what I can for him, and let Daniel Jones franchise tag him just because you don't have nothing in place right now. But I wouldn't really try doing anything much with them. So do not trust them. They're probably going to finish last in that division, actually, in my opinion. The final category that we're going to discuss, this category will be rather quickly. We're calling them the independent contractors. And what the independent contractors means is that these teams have no future at all in this season. We all know they're going to be losing. They're not going to be very good. So these are a lot of guys that are just trying to fight, grow, put good film on tape so they could get their next contract for their next job. And the first thing we're going to start off with, respectfully, is the Arizona Cardinals. Man, I respect these guys. James Conner is playing hard. Josh Dobbs is playing his butt off. Hollywood Brown is doing his thing. He's trying to earn a contract, independent contractor. Like, these guys are playing hard, man. Show these boys respect. Man. They're doing their thing. They're doing their thing over there. Hey, it's just going to be a long season. Ain't a whole lot to write home about. But hey, good win against the Cowboys. You guys played hard. You earned that dub. Congratulations to you. Another team that we're going to show respect to is the Houston Texans. Just like I said in the AFC preview episode, I really like that young team. You kind of got to see it come together against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, it was dope to see CJ Stroud do what he did. I personally think that he was the best rookie quarterback coming into this year's draft. I'm not really a big Bryce Young guy. I'm just not. But not saying Bryce Young's bad. I'm just not a big Bryce Young guy. I would prefer to have CJ Stroud, me personally. But man, that was nice, man. I like CJ Stroud. I like Nico Collins. I like Tank Dell. I didn't know a whole lot about him before the preseason and training camp, but man, what I'm seeing, I like him a lot. Obviously, we all like John Mechie, the third. Like, there you got Larry Tunsil on the front line. They just need to continue trying to grow that offensive line. They can grow that. If they could grow that offensive line, that's when they could really become a solid football team. So, man, just keep watching them, man. They're going to be an exciting team to watch just because they got a lot of young guys that are trying to progress in this league. Also, do not forget about Derek Stingley Jr. and Will Anderson Jr. on the defensive side of the ball. Another team that we're going to talk about is just going to get them out the way. It's a sad situation. Is the New York Jets. Hey, bro, independent contractors. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to be very good. Everybody, their defense is good. They're a really good defense. This is no true ball moment once again. They're a really good defense. But the issue is just that they have no confidence in their quarterback. Bro, they lost a game where they only allowed 15 points. And they lost that game. They have no confidence in them. That's just like you going to work at McDonald's. Like, bro, you don't want to go to work at McDonald's. That's what they feel like right now. They feel like that. They're walking into school, going to the classroom where everyone hates that teacher. That's Zach Wilson. So, man, cut them boys a break. Just let them live their life. Let them just get through this season because this season's already done for them, unfortunately. Another team with independent contractors is the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders, man. Josh McDaniels, he's not a head coach. He's not head coach material. Offensive coordinator, yes. Head coach, no. That's all I really got to say about them. Next thing we got to talk about is the Denver Broncos. You got 70 put up on you, bro. And this is really what I want to talk about with the Denver Broncos. It is not a Russell Wilson problem. I'm not even going the defensive route. I'm going Sean Payton. Sean Payton, you are supposed to be the head coach. You claim to be a Hall of Fame head coach. You don't get no juice out of your team. Your team don't want to play for you. The team don't want to play for the quarterback. The team don't want to play together. You failed. You failed, Sean. You failed that team. Now, also, I would say you should never went there. You should have stayed in the booth, wait for Brandon Staley to get fired from the Chargers after this season, and then take the Chargers' job. That's what you should have did. But you didn't. But you chose not to do that. This was a bad job. You took the job, and now you was more concerned about tearing down Russell Wilson than actually coaching your team. That's your fault, coach. Another team we're going to talk about in this is the Carolina Panthers. They let all their assets go so they could draft Bryce Young. End of story. End of story. We'll see where they go. Good luck to those guys. Hopefully they can put good film on tape like Adam Thielen is and possibly get another job on a contender. The last team that we're going to talk about, and then we're finally done with the review over these teams, is the Chicago Bears. And the only thing I want to say about them is, man, it's bad. It is bad there. And they need to go ahead and rebuild that thing. I do believe in Justin Fields' talent, but that head coach cannot coach Justin Fields. The offensive coordinator can't coach Justin Fields. Justin Fields don't want to be there. You can see it in his body language, and nobody wants to be there. It's just time to tear it down, rebuild it, move him, get whatever you could get. And I wouldn't even draft a quarterback this year. Trade back, get more draft picks, build an offensive line, build from the inside out. You worry about the quarterback later. You have a lot of stuff on this team that you got to fix. And unfortunately, Justin Fields is not progressing with this unit. So it's time to let that go. That's the end of our review of all of our teams. Real quick before we get out of here, we're going to go over our top fives. Our top five performers of the week. Number one for me is the Cleveland Browns defense. Man, those boys, like I said, they were elite. Myles Garrett is a defensive player of the year candidate. He finished that game against Tennessee with 3.5 sacks, and he had a forced fumble. That boy is going crazy. The Buffalo Bills is my second defense. Man, them boys only let up three points, and they caught 4 picks in that game. Man, those boys was going crazy out there, and they were scoring points. Don't get it twisted. Obviously, number 3 is the Miami Dolphins. Man, they dropped 70. That was a record. The only reason why they're number 3 is because Denver looked that bad. They looked that bad. And, yeah, I just don't really have a whole lot to say after that. Number 4 for me is Justin Herbert. He played a heck of a game, man. He played a heck of a game. I don't like how much he's throwing the football, but, man, he played a hell of a game. Because, see, his stuff was not in the empty calorie stats. His stats are real stats. He had to go win that game, and that's what he did. He played well. He played efficiently. He wasn't turning the ball over. He did what he was supposed to do, and he put the ball in the end zone, and he carried his team to a victory. Kudos to Justin Herbert. That was a great game that you played, man. And then my last spot is for the Arizona Cardinals. Just got to show them some love and show them some respect. A double-digit underdog coming out to win that game. Hey, kudos to you. Kudos to Josh Dobbs. Do your thing. Our top 10 teams of the week. As of week 3. We'll go on and dig a little bit into this. Number 1, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. I don't see any team that can slow them down. Like I said, they're showing how multiple they are on offense. They're showing that they can run the football. They're showing that they have multiple running backs that can run the football. Don't forget Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't even back yet. Not that he's really high on my list. He's just another body. He's another quality body. So with that being the case, man, they could do a lot of things. And when Waddle is back fully healthy, because he has not been healthy yet since training camp, if he could get healthy, man, they have a lot. They have a lot. That's not even talking about the Braxton Berrioses of the world, the Robbie Chosens of the world. Those guys, man, they can make a lot of noise and do a lot of damage. Man, so Miami is number 1 for me. And on top of that, their defense, they don't have Jalen Ramsey yet. That's a great weapon X for them. When they get him, their defense will definitely shoot up because they could put him in a spot where you don't have to worry about the athleticism that's diminished for him. He can still play within a role, and he could use his mind and just make plays. Number 2 for me is the 49ers. Plain and simple, bro. They're just doing what they do. They beat down teams the way they're supposed to beat them down. They shut down teams the way they're supposed to shut them down. They're a good football team that does what a good football team is supposed to do. Plain and simple. Number 3 is Philly. Philly's number 3 for me because they're winning ugly. They haven't played a pretty game yet, and they will play a pretty game. Jalen Hurts will get going. When he gets going, they're going to be very scary. But to see how efficient and how well they're playing, even though they're being very inefficient out there, hey, man, that tells you how scary they are. Just keep watching them. The pass defense will improve. It will improve throughout the season. And their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, he definitely will improve as the season goes on. They got a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator, so it's going to take a minute to grow. It's crazy that they are winning these games, even though they are in a growing season. Number 4 for me, and number 4 and 5, they can switch. I don't really care, whichever one you want to put where. Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Either one could be 4 and the other one's 5. It doesn't matter to me. And the same thing for both of them, actually. Defense are playing very well. You let up a game that you shouldn't have let up. Chiefs against Detroit. Buffalo against the Jets, and you guys have beat teams that you're supposed to beat since then. And now both of your offenses are looking good. Both defenses are looking good. Y'all playing good football right now. So, man, that's the end of our episode. That's the end of episode 5 of Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this episode compared to our Week 2 preview. I'm trying to figure out the way that we're going to go about this, the way that's more enjoyable for you and for me to get out the information that I really want to give out instead of just doing more of just a stat review type of thing. We're going to just go over the Week 3 games when the Week 3 games come. Here soon, I really do plan on getting the TikToks and Twitter accounts really flowing and going. I've been really busy lately. I've had a lot of personal things going on, so please excuse me on that. But when I get those things really rocking and rolling, I would definitely let you guys know ASAP. Hey, please like and subscribe to this channel so we can continue growing our community. Please hit me up in the comment box. I would love to holler at y'all, talk to y'all about all this kind of stuff, and just continue growing our community, bro. Hey, man, I want to wish all y'all peace, love, and happiness. Continue to grow within yourself. Continue working on yourself, and continue being the best that you can be. Hey, this is Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace. Yo, man, what's good, people? Man, this is an addition to episode 5 of Knowing True Ball. The reason why this edition is taking place is because if you guys remember introductory episode, I talked about this is going to be an NFL and NBA podcast. Well, the NBA is their quiet season. There hasn't been a lot of noise being made. But something happened today. At about 2:15 on Wednesday, we found out about Damien Lillard getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm recording this about 20, 30 minutes after the trade took place. These are my initial thoughts, initial reactions of the trade. Well, first, let's talk about the trade details. Let me read them to you so then we have them out correctly. We have Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tamani Kamara, a 2029 unprotected Milwaukee first-round pick, and a unprotected Milwaukee swap rights in 2028 and 2030 to the Portland Trailblazers. For those of you that do not understand that part, pretty much what happened was the Milwaukee Bucks sent 3 first-round draft picks to the Portland Trailblazers. Those swaps, what that swap means is that if Milwaukee's pick is lower than Portland's, or if Portland's pick is lower than Milwaukee's, Milwaukee gets that pick. Portland gets the higher pick, Milwaukee gets the lower pick. That's what that means. Now moving on to the third team that was a part of this deal, the Phoenix Suns. They get Nurkic from the Portland Trailblazers, Grayson Allen, Nazar Little, and Keon Johnson. That's who Portland got. And it looks like, according to this, the only guy that the Milwaukee Bucks got was Damien Lillard. So when we talk about that and we think about this trade, I still need time to think about it. So next podcast, I'll go more into detail with my official thoughts of this deal. But these are my initial reactions. I love it for the Phoenix Suns. You get Nurkic. DeAndre Ayton was not going to be happy with his role there with the 3 mega stars there. They're going to be shooting a lot of shots. And honestly, none of them are true, pass first guys. So with that being the case, there wasn't going to be a lot of plays being made for DeAndre Ayton. A lot of it was going to be circling between them 3. So I understand why Ayton wanted out. He believes that he's better than that. And that's fine. So he needed a guy there that was going to be cool with and okay with just being a rebounder and a finisher. And Nurkic is cool with that, and he's good at that. He's also a good passer. So that would help them out a lot. Picking up Grayson Allen and Nazar Little, the Phoenix Suns' biggest weakness was their depth. But now they got depth. Those are 2 guys that are true rotation guys. Grayson Allen is a combo guard. Of course, you would prefer him at the 2, but he could play a combo guard role. And then also Nazar Little, he's a combo forward. You could play him at the 4 or the 5, so he could play beside Kevin Durant as much as you need him to whenever you need to switch those guys out. So and then Keon Johnson, nice pickup. Once again, a forward that could do multiple things. So I like those pickups for the Phoenix Suns. I think that helped them a lot. I think they got a lot better for this upcoming season. Moving on to the Portland Trailblazers. Jrue Holiday was a great pickup for them because after trading Damien Lillard, you still need a veteran presence there that knows how to play the game. He also has championship experience. And he's going to be a commodity come to trade deadline. If you want to trade him away from as the Portland Trailblazers, you can. Somebody will take him. The Lakers would love to have him. The Knicks would love to have him. Man, so many contending teams would love to have him. He's the perfect fit for the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors ain't going to do it. They just got Chris Paul. All those types of teams, this guy is a perimeter defender. That's what he's known for. That's his star level. That's what he does. He could fit in any offense. And because he could do a combo guard. He could be your point guard or he could be your 2 guard. It doesn't matter which one. You prefer him as your 2 as well. But because he's a combo guard. And like I said, because he has great size, he's very strong. He's a great defender. And he's always been known as a highly respectable player. He gets along with everybody. That's a great asset. They could choose to keep him. They could choose to let him go. Either way, that's a win-win for them. Picking up DeAndre Ayton, that gives them a big man to go forward with, but also it gives them youth that can grow with Scoot Henderson and all those guys, Sharp, all those boys. So that's not a bad deal for them at all, let alone the fact that you pretty much got 3 first-round picks from the Milwaukee Bucks. So, man, I think it's a good deal for Portland. My issue is with Milwaukee. That's my issue. Damien Lillard is obviously an upgrade. Duh, that's not a conversation. I'm not even trying to sniff close to that. I just would have preferred maybe to see Chris Middleton in that deal before Jrue Holiday. Who knows? Maybe they offered that and maybe Portland declined it. But I just would have preferred that because I think Damian Lillard and Jrue Holiday in the backcourt together is a better combination for the Milwaukee Bucks. I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks just took a big step back defensively on the perimeter. Now they have great interior defenders in Giannis and Brook Lopez. So if a guy does get by Damien Lillard ain't no slouch anyway defensively. But that's not what he does. That's not what you pay Damien Lillard to do. You pay him to put the ball in the hoop. So I wonder how that's going to look defensively. But the good news is in the NBA, nobody plays defense in the playoffs anyway. So that may not really be a big issue. But I do love the combination of Giannis and Damian Lillard together on the team. I do love that combination. 2 loyal guys, 2 guys that are committed to the game. They're not here for all the media, all the paparazzi, all that other kind of stuff. They're just here just to play basketball. And I think that's going to be a great addition to Giannis. And Giannis has never played with a guy that can be a true pick-and-roll threat, scoring or passing. So I think that's going to be great for their offense. I'm just concerned about their defense. I'm also a little concerned about their team dynamics because if you really listen to Giannis, he adores Jrue Holiday. And everyone on that team does. And when you give up a guy like that that's really loved in the locker room, sometimes it could take time to accept the person that's taking that guy's place in Damian Lillard. It could take a little bit of time. And plus, I'm a little worried about it because Dame didn't want to go there in the first place from everything that we've heard. We've always heard that he wanted to go to Miami. So how committed is he to this team? So, man, I think it's going to be interesting. I can't see a world where it works for all parties involved. All parties involved, it could end up being a really good trade for everybody. But I just wonder how much better did Milwaukee get. Now, if everything goes smoothly, Milwaukee just got a whole lot better. A whole lot better. But if there's if there's some chemistry issues, because now what you got to remember is Chris Middleton, now he's going from being option A on the perimeter. Now he's option B, but that's just a perimeter. We're not talking about Giannis. So now the pecking order is just completely changed, and is Middleton cool with being that third wheel? He wasn't the third wheel. He was actually the ball handler in the pick and rolls with Giannis. Now he's going to be asked to be like a spot-up shooter and make some plays here and there. So that's what I mean. We'll have to wait and see how all that coincides together. But, man, I'm excited for this NBA season. Man, I cannot wait to see how these developments play out. Hey, knowing true ball with your boy Brian Payne.